Hey, it's Webs here with a new mercenary build that I have no idea what to call this thing. I guess the easiest thing to call it would be a bench buffing build, and the original idea behind this build was to use Niuzao as a way to increase the survivability of our bench buffers within this build using the Talisman of the Ox equipment, but that usually increased the risk of my opponent just focusing down Niuzao as the first mercenary instead of something like Brightwing or Tirion. So I ended up going with Helm of Niuzao instead as the equipment, and it was a much better in the long run. Basic idea behind this build is to make our Illidan and Sinestra as big as humanly possible before actually putting them out, as seen in the clip behind me right now, where we have a Sinestra that is a 32 127, which is actually pretty strong. Few warnings before going into the mercenary by mercenary breakdown. The first thing I have to mention is I did not actually rank up much in between this video and the last video. This was recorded a little bit more in advance than I normally would like to, especially because I was expecting there to be a Hearthstone expansion revealed on Tuesday that got delayed until Thursday. And because of it, my rating didn't really go up much or down much, especially because I was testing some other builds that really didn't perform that well in between figuring this one out and when I ended up recording this video. But I will say the one weakness that this build seems to have is anyone abusing Chi and Blazing Band. This allows them to scale up their healing and damage so quickly that you're not going to be able to outdamage them in the early game, which is the major problem with this build. It does not have a lot of front end damage. It has a lot of late game damage, and if they can already scale their damage to absurd levels before you actually get your late game on the board, you're not going to have a really good time with this build. Other than that, this build did feel really consistent against some of the other really big meta threats right now, such as Frost or Dragons, as you did have ways to just outgrind them if you targeted the right mercenaries. And in the Frost matchup, if they started with Localar first, always target Localar over the Jaina or any other mercenary, just because of the fact that if you can get Localar off the board, your Illidan and Sinestra are going to be able to just wipe their entire rest of their team. So with the intro out of the way, let's get into the mercenary by mercenary breakdown. The first one being Niuzao. As mentioned before, we are using the equipment Helm of Niuzao as our equipment for Niuzao, as this will allow us to increase the damage output of him, which he normally doesn't have that high of a damage output, and also make him a little bit more tanky. And the main two abilities we're using for him are Bullish Fortitude and Blessing of the Ox, as these are the things that will actually allow you to increase the survivability of your bench buffing mercenaries. And there are certain matchups where Blessing of the Ox actually just counters them completely, such as a Diablo matchup if you time it well. The next mercenary on the team is Tirion Forging. We're using the Aspringer equipment as a additional way to buff up our bench, and this is the mercenary we're usually going to want to dive first. Brightwing is the third mercenary on the team, which we're using Brightwing's necklace to increase the amount of HP that we're actually giving to our benched mercenaries. And you're mainly going to be using Fairy Breath as the main ability for Brightwing, followed by Pixie Dust as the second ability, just because these two will allow you to increase your survivability a little bit more and also buff up your mercenaries as much as humanly possible. And now for the two mercenaries, it really depends on how much they are getting individually buffed for what order to actually put them out in. Sinestra and Illidan, they both serve similar purposes, as you're trying to make these ones buffed up as much as humanly possible so you can actually make them survive a big turn, especially if you're facing a Yulong player where Illidan might get one-shotted normally by Yulong whenever he attacks, but because of Brightwing, you can sometimes make him survive a Yulong's first ability cast. And when you're talking about bench buff builds, Illidan is usually the stereotypical mercenary you're going to want to use, because he does scale pretty quickly with any bench buff that you actually put out on him through his equipment Warglaives of Azeroth, which allows his outcast attack to actually attack the leftmost enemy twice, which increases his damage output by quite a bit, even if he only receives one buff from Brightwing. And the two abilities that you're probably going to be rotating between for him are Outcast Attack, of course, and Blade Dance. If you're facing Yulong and she isn't at a low HP or within a range to actually just kill her by his Outcast Attack, you're probably going to want to do Blade Dance first over Outcast. It really just depends on what her HP is at. And then Sinestra, of course, for the most part, you're just going to be rotating between Mana Barrier and Twilight Extinction as ways to just heal herself up as much as humanly possible and just out damage the amount of damage your opponent can actually do. Though there are a few edge cases where Racking Swipe might be useful, especially because she is getting a bunch of attack from your bench buffing mercenaries. And of course, the equipment for her is Mana Brooch. This is the stereotypical equipment for her. And finally, Cookie is on this team. I always end up putting Cookie on most teams, not because I have a obsession with him, but if you have a lot of mercenaries that you want to make sure they live for quite a while, Appetizers is always a great equipment, especially if you're trying to figure out. Now, with this all being said, let's go find some games. Okay, so we're going to put down our 3 mercenaries. It doesn't matter what order you put down these 3. I just like putting them down in this order. You're not trying to tie any speed ties, so it doesn't actually matter. We're going to go after Malfurion. Malfurion's the most annoying on that team just because it heals. Okay, they're focusing down Niuzao. It's not going to work. Do this. We'll use Blessing of the Ox, which might actually help us here. Might not, though. We might be too slow. Oh, we're not. Well, I guess it is too slow, but it does actually help us a little bit. Okay, so he's the lowest. I'm gonna put down Illidan. Going to do damage there. Set his attack to that. Oh, that only kills if we're gonna do it like this. This should kill both Guff and Malfurion unless they actually root us. Okay. Now we get to put down Sinestra. We'll heal AoE and then Blade Dance. I don't know if Illidan's actually going to survive. Actually, he might, just because of the fact that they rooted him last turn. Maybe not. I think he actually dies here. That's fine. We have Sinestra, so Sinestra can just one-shot their entire board. It'll take a long time, but it's perfectly fine. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna heal. I'm gonna do Go Fish. Try to get as much off the board as humanly possible, because if we get a Go Fish that generates damage, then we're good. Don't know why you're rooting that. I'm not going to attack with her. Ah, extra HP. That's always nice. Oh, they have Gruul, don't they? Gruul's going to be annoying. I still want to kill Brucon first. Yeah, let's kill Brucon. Brightwing's not quick enough, so... I wish that was the opposite order, but it's fine. Okay, who's their last mercenary? Is it going to be Sinestra? Samuro. We're going to focus down Gruul next. Mainly because of the fact if Gruul stays alive too long, I think they can actually kill Sinestra. Ah, they're focusing down Brightwing. Interesting. There's some heal for us. Okay, they're going to make themselves immune. Okay, we're going to get that down this turn. Pass the turn back because we're quicker. It's interesting that Gruul summons orcs, but I guess I won't question it. I know technically Brawn are ancestors of orcs, but kill Brightwing next, I guess. I get what they're trying to do with Brightwing, but it would make more sense to drag him out first before, or her first out before Gruul if you're trying to counter dragons. And then we can just attack and win the game. Not even gonna do anything fancy. Ah, immune. That's fine. Still gonna attack. Okay, they're mainly casters. We're gonna down our 3 mercenaries first. Okay, so it's gonna be Frost. Now, we're gonna focus down local R first, which sounds like a really bad idea. But if we get local R down first, that makes Illidan and everything else way safer. Okay. Do damage there. We'll do it like that. I think this should kill local R this turn, because this should still be quicker. Oh, we should have probably froze, or not froze. Okay, they didn't freeze. Okay. Local R's dead. We get Sinestra and Illidan both out right now, which means we can double attack and Twilight Deb. Okay, Karen. It's gonna be annoying, but we can deal with it. Let's do Blessing of Ox. I'm assuming they're going to try to make everything quicker. That's kind of a shock. Okay, everything's getting Divine Shield. Everything's losing it. We're going to kill Illidan first, which is interesting. We're going to do AoE, heal up there. I mean, we can try to do that, but I don't think that's going to work. So their bench has to be Diablo and Cookie? Yeah. Really kind of shocked that they don't use the one ability. That'll kill that. That'll do a bunch there. Illidan being frozen is not a good sign, though. We just win, though, if... I'm going to kill Jaina just to get her off the board. We're going to heal there. Do that. Illidan's dead this turn, no matter what. That gets the biggest amount of damage off the board as humanly possible, even if it buffs that up. So they're gonna put down Cookie, and then we'll snipe the... Do we want to snipe that to get more HP? We'll do Go Fish. I like using Go Fish whenever I have Sinestra, just because of the fact that it gives a chance of just doing a shit ton of damage or healing us for even more. Okay, they're gonna use Go Fish themselves. We're gonna heal. We get a healing fish. That's probably the worst option we could have got there. Gonna do that. We're gonna attack Cookie. Mainly due to the fact... Oh, that's not gonna work, is it? Oh, I guess it does work. I forgot they have their things unsynced. We're gonna heal. We're gonna use Go Fish. This should kill Cookie. Almost kill Cairn. And then it's just going to be Diablo versus Sinestra. And we should win just because we have so much HP. Would really be cool if we got some other type of fish besides that one. Kill. That's the turn. They really screwed themselves up by desyncing that. Can't even kill the fish. We're gonna... They have no way to heal, so we're just gonna do that. Okay. We're going to take damage every turn. We're going to use Twilight Extinction and then pass the turn back. Heal a little bit, which kind of is annoying, but do that and then Go Fish. Oh, maybe we should stop Go Fishing just because it does keep giving HP. Though if it is 15 damage for 10 HP, that's fine too. Okay, we're going to use Twilight Extinction, do that. Oh, we can actually just win this turn. Might as well just win this turn. Put them out of their misery, you know? Okay, so they mainly have casters, which actually doesn't tell me much. It could be nature. It could be some frost, I guess. I'm going to put down our 3 starting mercenaries. Doesn't matter the order, as I've said before. Okay, Holy Humans is something I haven't seen in quite a while. So, the annoying thing is, in this matchup, this is going to be a long game. We have a very high likelihood of being able to win, because we do have both Illidan and Sinestra as our back row. It is just going to be very long and drawn out to kill the starting 3 mercenaries. So they're going to heal up a little bit. We're going to focus down Cornelius. They're going to focus down Niuzao. That's honestly the biggest mistake most people actually make when facing this team, that they actually face down or focus down Niuzao, which is usually a bad option. We're not going to be able to kill Cornelius anytime soon, but we should be able to at least give ourselves Divine Shield here, because this is the entire reason why I wanted to use this combo. If they kill Niuzao in like the next turn or two, it's perfectly fine. We'll put down Illidan probably as the next mercenary, which should be able to one-shot Anduin and maybe even Valen, even through a big AoE push turn for them. Okay, so we do have Illidan. Could also put down Sinestra. It really just depends. Putting down Sinestra is a good option, especially because this allows us to keep Illidan on the bench and then buff him up even further than he already is. And there's not much they can actually do against Sinestra in this scenario. We're going to try to heal Tirion up a little bit though, trying to make him survive. I don't know, that probably wasn't the best decision, but it does make him survive so he can actually attack. Now we can put down Illidan, and between Sinestra and Illidan, we should be able to finish off both Anduin and Valen in the same turn. Okay, it doesn't matter that you put up taunt if Illidan only attacks the left and the rightmost mercenaries. Now they explode. Okay, what could their back row possibly be? Given that color combination, I would almost always assume Diablo and Karen and Cookie, but I could be wrong. Oh shit, it's actually dragons. That might actually be a problem if we didn't already use or outcast attack on Illidan. We're going to try to heal up Illidan so he doesn't die to being focused down here, because I'm assuming they're going to focus him down. They're going to do their stereotypical thing with Sinestra, which makes sense. They're going to focus down Sinestra. That's actually kind of a shock. I don't think they have enough damage to do such a thing though. We're going to kill Yulong no matter what, and then we're going to heal up our Sinestra. I think this might actually kill theirs this turn too, even if they heal. Or if they attack, I guess it definitely kills them. We're going to heal a little bit. They're going to heal Yulong, which is a little bit annoying, but we should still be able to kill her this turn. They're going to kill Illidan, which sucks, but he almost got Yulong down. Though we can snipe both Sinestra and Yulong this turn, and there's no way they can stop us, especially because they used the 2 speed ability last turn. We're going to heal up our Sinestra, and it was Brightwing all along, which is interesting to have as the last mercenary, but I'm not going to question it. And they give up. Alright, now that we're through the games, let's discuss my final thoughts of the build. So overall, this build actually shocked me on how well it actually did, especially because when you first look at this build, you have to be scratching your head, how the hell does this synergize together? But it turns out if you can buff up Illidan and Sinestra to absurd levels, you can win 90% of games. Though there is one glaring weakness of this build, which I mentioned before, which is Chi-Ji. Chi-Ji scales his damage and healing up simultaneously, which means it's very hard for a build like this that doesn't have a lot of front end damage to actually win games where Chi-Chi is on your opponent's board. You're going to probably want to try to make your mercenaries die as quickly as possible in that matchup, so you can actually get an Illidan or Sinestra out quickly so you can kill the Chi-Chi, but that isn't always possible, so it is a very bad weakness for this build. And while I haven't been able to rank up much in between this and the last video that I put out for mercenaries, I could easily recommend this for anyone who is between the 9k rating or below, as this will catch a lot of people actually off guard, as bench buffing builds have actually fallen out of favor for more consistent ways to actually scale your damage. So this still has a lot of merit and on, as it does scale the damage pretty quickly even if it is just random targets, And it does serve the purpose of actually introducing a way to use Niuzao as a mercenary that you might not normally use. And especially if you've been wanting to use him since his release, then this is a perfect build to try him out in, especially because none of the equipments actually used in this build are unique to this build alone, and most of them are the stereotypical equipments that you actually use with each of these individual mercenaries. With that being said, if you enjoyed the video, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. And until next time, bye bye.